For those looking to be thoroughly spooked, Netflix is home to a wide array of unsettling horror movies, ranging anywhere from gory slashers to tense psychological thrillers. To help you navigate the vast amount of Netflix exclusives the platform has to offer, here's a list of the creepiest Netflix films you should never watch alone. After the unexpected death of their friend, a group of old college buddies honor his memory by taking a trip to Sweden. Shortly after embarking on their hiking journey, one of the friends is injured, and the group decides to take a shortcut through the forest. After a series of eerie occurrences, the group becomes lost, turning what was supposed to be an adventurous trip commemorating their lost pal into a disturbing, dangerous affair. The ritual is at its strongest when it explores the relationships and interactions between the friends. As their sanity begins to slip, so does their friendship, showing just how fragile the bond between friends can be. The film offers a perfect blend of a good story, creepy imagery, and a cast of likable characters. The natural eeriness of the forest, the growing tension as the group becomes more lost and increasingly worse for wear, and the inclusion of a sacrificial cult all make for a wonderfully frightening flick. Just be careful about watching it before taking any trips out to the forest. In Hush, Maddie Young is a deaf and mute author who has moved into a remote house to write her next book in peace. Unfortunately for the author, she gets trapped in a twisted life or death scenario when a stranger with a crossbow finds her isolated home. Not only is Hush one of the best horror films on Netflix, it's also one of the most suspenseful films on the home invasion subgenre. Director Mike Flanagan's expertise in tension building and creepy storytelling shine through effortlessly in Hush, especially with the film's use of sound. Because Maddie is deaf, Hush uses the natural sound of a scene to help induce panic in the audience. Viewers listening closely to the film will be able to catch specific cues that escape the main character. Before I Wake follows Jessie and her husband Mark, who take in a foster child named Cody after their son passes away. Once Cody moves in, it becomes apparent to the new parents that Cody is reluctant to sleep. Turns out there's a good reason. Cody's dreams become reality, which is especially awkward as he keeps dreaming about their dead son. When Cody begins to dream of Jessie's deceased child, the dynamic in the house immediately changes. The parents struggle with accepting the passing of their son when he keeps appearing in front of them at night. But once Cody's dreams turn to nightmares, the tone of the film changes from fantastical to terrifying. In an attempt to rekindle their failing marriage, Jessie and her husband Gerald take a vacation to their lake house. Shortly after arriving, Gerald decides to engage in some adventurous bedroom activity, but he has a heart attack immediately after he handcuffs Jessie, leaving her completely trapped. Confined to her bed, Jessie must find a way to escape while also facing off against a starving dog and an ominous house guest that visits her at night.
You're not real.
Gerald's Game is a brutal film to watch because of the sheer helplessness of the protagonist throughout the film. Her drive to stay alive and to free herself creates a sense of optimism throughout the film, but the obstacles in her way are absolutely brutal. Wilfred James lives on a farm with his wife, Arlette, and teenage son, Henry. Though Wilfred and Henry adore their simple life, Arlette has other plans for the family. After she expresses her intent to sell the farm and move to the city with Henry, tensions quickly rise in the household. With limited options, Wilfred concludes that to keep his land, he must kill his wife. 1922 dives into the mind of a man willing to kill for his own personal gain. The film frames the narrative through Wilfred's telling of events. His inner monologues are eloquent and almost poetic, but Wilfred is truly an unnerving character to follow.
Well, this is a thing I regret even more bitterly than the crime, for the reasons that this document will show.
More terrifying than the killing itself is how Wilfred's violent plot affects him and the people he loves in ways he never believed possible. The film doesn't shy away from showcasing the consequences of Wilfred's depraved actions, and if you're looking for a slow-burn horror film with a menacing main character, 1922 is definitely worth a watch. The Perfection focuses on Charlotte, a renowned cellist who was forced to leave an elite conservatory. When Charlotte begins a relationship with Elizabeth, the new prodigy from the same music school, things quickly spiral out of control. The Perfection is genuinely unsettling, primarily due to the strong acting of the two lead actresses. Both manage to be likable and unpredictable, and it makes for a wild ride for viewers of the film. With plenty of graphic imagery and disturbing implications, The Perfection still manages to be a thought-provoking watch. Cam follows Alice, a cam girl who aspires to rise to the top ranks of a cam girl website. After she fakes killing herself on one of her shows, Alice's account is hacked by a person who looks and sounds identical to her. To get her show back and regain her identity, Alice must find the source of the copycat hacker. Not only is Cam a fun premise, the film smartly comments on how women are treated in the adult video industry. Alice is an extremely likable, confident woman who is proud of her job as a cam girl and the audience she has acquired. The creepiness in Cam largely stems from how easily someone's work and identity can be stolen online. Alice's life is instantly destroyed, and there's seemingly nothing she can do to protect herself. Considering just how easily accounts on even major corporations can be hacked online, the implications in Cam should be more than enough to make everybody delete their social media accounts and permanently log off. Bird Box takes place in a frightening universe where creatures drive anyone who looks at them to insanity. To avoid this fate, survivors must stay indoors and cover their eyes when navigating outdoors. Mallory, an expectant mother, joins a group of survivors in hopes of safely waiting out the storm. With a child on the way and dwindling resources among the group, Mallory must not only protect herself but also find a way to safely raise her newborn child in the post-apocalyptic world. Bird Box presents a fascinating premise where survivors must restrict the use of their eyes, forcing them to find new ways to go on with their daily lives. Most of the horror stems from having characters walk around blindly, all while mentally unstable people are trying to kill them. But the themes of motherhood and the fears associated with it add an extra level of horror that viewers are likely to find very unsettling. Serial killers are a staple of the horror genre, but more often than not, we associate them with monsters like Michael Myers and Jason Voorhees rather than real-life human beings. But in Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil and Vile, the focus isn't on some fictional slasher but instead on Ted Bundy, the infamous serial killer who murdered at least 30 women throughout the 1970s. The film highlights Ted Bundy and his relationship with his girlfriend Liz Kendall, as they weather the police's growing suspicions of Bundy. Unknown to Liz, Ted is actively murdering people while they're together and constantly spinning lies to avoid detection. What makes Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil and Vile an especially chilling watch isn't gory killings or tense action set pieces, it's just how charismatic this killer is. Ted Bundy was an actual killer who killed real people, often by manipulating his victims into a false sense of security and preying on their goodwill.
Whoever this woman is who's accusing you, I'm sure she's just gotten you mixed up with another handsome stranger.
Set in the Australian outback, Cargo follows the trials and tribulations of Andy, a man who survived the zombie apocalypse, along with his baby daughter Rosie. Unfortunately, Andy's recently been bitten, and he only has a matter of hours before he turns into one of the undead. With precious little time left, Andy's priority is to find someone to raise his daughter after he turns into one of the Walking Dead. Unlike many other zombie films, our hero Andy is bitten early on, fated to die. As Andy's time diminishes and he becomes more like the undead, we see not just the decline of society but the fracturing of the family unit. Cargo plays on the fear of complete isolation and being mostly responsible for your own survival, unable to seek out the help of others in society. In Apostle, cultists living on a remote island kidnap a girl and hold her for ransom. Sent on a mission to rescue his sister, Thomas Richardson makes his way to the island to save her. While covertly living among the cult members, Thomas must navigate the island stealthily and play the role of a devout follower. One of the bloodiest movies on Netflix, the film features horrific rituals, creepy creatures, and impressive action scenes. And when our hero discovers the full extent of what's happening on this island, he realizes he's caught up in something much darker than he bargained for. As the film progresses, the beliefs of the cult are slowly revealed, and the aggressive enforcement of those ideas help to create a sense of imminent dread for much of the film. Apostle is the perfect creepy film for any viewer that's at once terrified and fascinated by cult life. I Am the Pretty Thing That Lives in the House follows the story of Lily Saylor, a live-in nurse who's hired to assist Iris Blum, a retired writer with dementia. Once Lily begins to settle into the old house, a series of strange events start to occur, like mold appearing on the walls and figures of ghostly beings roaming the halls. After finding a draft of one of Iris's books detailing a murdered couple who once lived in the house, Lily begins to suspect that the account isn't fictional and that the home might be haunted. For fans of paranormal thrillers, I Am the Pretty Thing That Lives in the House makes excellent use of the haunted mansion's creepy atmosphere, with plenty of slow pans and dark lighting. Instead of relying on jump scares and constant threats, the film is more reversed, slowly building up the paranormal happenings in Iris's home. For viewers who may be tired of watching tweens shrieking at CG ghosts and specters, the film offers a refreshing change of pace that's still likely to keep you awake at night. While serial killers, gory deaths, and dark lighting all make for a creepy experience, sometimes the scariest scenarios are a film's psychological elements. In Clinical, Dr. Jane Mathis is a psychiatrist struggling to move on with her life after she's attacked by one of her patients. Relentlessly tortured by the idea that she failed in her role as a psychiatrist, Jane steps away from treating trauma patients to focus on her own well-being. Just as she's beginning to make progress, Jane receives a request from a man suffering from trauma after an intense automobile accident. Moved by the man's plight, Vanessa agrees to help him, but doing so has its consequences. Trying to juggle her mental health while also fulfilling her promise to her new client begins to take a toll. What separates this creepy Netflix horror film from other movies is that it plays with the concept of how scary a person's own mind can be when they're not in control of it. Ghastly figures manifesting during sleep paralysis and an unstable reality all come into play, showing that sometimes the most severe and dangerous struggles are constructed inside our own minds. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more Looper videos about your favorite horror movies are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.